Welcome back to Real Estate Ramblings. I'm Amy Shrader with Remax Real Estate 10.
I'm Ashley Hunt.
Well, it's just you and me this morning, Ashley.
Yeah.
This snow has done it in for a couple of our folks, but I know I watch you on Facebook, and you were out in the snow Friday just playing and
Yes.
showing houses, weren't you?
Enjoying some time with the kids. I got to a little bit on, I guess it was a little bit Saturday, but mostly Sunday. But I was out showing houses until like 8 o'clock at night, Friday and Saturday for the most part. So
You're crazy.
yeah, it was interesting.
And I don't know. I think about myself. If I was going to go out, I would not want to be out in the snowstorm
Well, you can't see a lot.
looking at houses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just nothing that I would want to go see that would warrant me having to get out in the snow like that.
I didn't just have one client; I had multiple clients. So it was very intriguing to figure out why they wanted to look in the snow and not like look outside or nothing. So I would have wanted to see around the house, but they didn't.
Well, to each their own, I guess,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, for sure.
Well, let me ask you this. This is our first taping in the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any goals or New Year's resolutions or anything that you want to share?
Well, I think I just keep grinding and keep working hard, and hopefully we'll see some interest rates come down a little bit and get a little bit more under contract. So that'd be my goal.
Well, and I don't know if you watched the interest rates last week. I mean, they're climbing.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's kind of thrown everybody for a loop because all the experts, keep saying that this is going to happen, and we're going to see the interest rates come down. But right now, the total opposite's happening, and they just keep inching up. Because, I mean, they were like 6, 8, 7, 5,
Yeah.
pushing 7, and now I think they're up to like 7 1/4.
I was about to say they're over 7 now.
So
For sure.
that's going to definitely pose, I think, some issues for the spring market as far as people, being able to buy and what they're able to buy.
As of right now, I've not noticed it making much of a change, but I mean, that don't mean it won't later on.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've been trying to do is talk to my sellers if they're thinking about doing a price reduction. I'm like, well, let's offer to pay for a rate buy down,
Yeah.
For that buyer. Because ultimately, that's going to have a bigger impact, paying $10,000 towards buying their rate down than doing a $10,000 price reduction.
Yeah.
That $10,000 price reduction might be $20 a month on their payment, whereas the rate buy down could be a couple of $100 a month.
Which is an awesome selling point.
Yeah. So I don't think some of them quite understand that until you sit down with them and you take pen to paper and go, okay, let's actually look at the numbers if
Yeah.
you were the buyer of your house. So yeah, keep grinding. That's about all we can do.
That's all we can do right now.
Keep looking. But I mean, I'm amazed at the inventory that has popped up from the first of the year till now. Because, normally January is kind of a lull month. And I was actually surprised last week seeing all these homes come on the market.
Yeah, there was several.
Not just in Hamlin County, but the surrounding
Yeah.
counties as well. So
I noticed it was a little dead during the storm. It was kind of interesting to see that the market was kind of really slow for a couple of days, and it hasn't been that way for a while.
yeah,
But
for
now
sure.
I noticed today it's booming back up there again, just like nothing happened.
Well, I know me and Michelle had a listing that was supposed to go live on Friday, and we talked to the seller and just opted to wait and put it live today because, this was in Hancock County, so it's going to be hard to get to anyway. And, we just told the seller, look, we don't think we're doing you justice putting it on a Friday when we have a snowstorm coming.
Yeah.
People are not going to be able to get there and navigate.
For sure,
To the
especially
house.
in Hancock.
Well, and even the one that Michelle listed on Bright's Pike, I don't know if you saw it. It's a brick house. It's got like a detached 3-car garage with a lift and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Great for a mechanic. But it sits up off of the road on a little hill.
So still just kind of steep driveway to get up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really steep, but I mean, it's not going to be plowed like the
Yeah.
road. And even Bright's Pike probably didn't get plowed until late Saturday, if it got done at all.
Yeah.
So,
True.
we had people scheduling showings and then canceling and then trying to reschedule. And I'm like, just wait.
Just do
2
it a couple
days. You know what
days.
I'm saying? Like, let the sun do its job and get it cleared off.
I think the biggest thing for me about having so many buyers this weekend was people being off work. It was just like, okay, both, husband and wife both were off work, and let's cram it in really quick. And I was surprised. I made a kind of a joke on Facebook, call me rain, sleet, or snow, and they did.
Yeah, they took you on your word.
Yeah,
on that
they
one.
did. They did.
So, well, how did your 2024 end up?
It was good. I did really good. I think that I've got a little more under contract than I did 23, which is surprisingly for me. I thought I would do better in 23, but I'm fairly new coming into this, so I'm still kind of climbing.
Well, you had several listings last year.
Yes, I did.
And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. Still trying to learn the process of all that. We was just speaking of that earlier. I was the market is just kind of a roller coaster right now of trying to learn everything, so.
Yeah, you mentioned, it seems like listing prices are all over the place. And I said, you may want to go to that CMA class we're having on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it, to me, when you look at the pricing and you look at who the agent is that listed the house,
Yeah.
you kind of know, is it solid pricing or did they just put down whatever the seller told them they wanted to list at, you know? And so I think that's why we're going to see homes that sit on the market longer.
Yes.
And days on market's going to go up because too many agents, who started during the pandemic and when the selling was crazy, don't really understand how to price a house.
Yeah.
And they don't want to not take a listing, so they're kind of being order takers, if you know what I mean. They go in and say, okay, well, what do you think your house is worth? What do you want to sell it for? Well, if that's not what the market says it's worth, you're going to be sitting on the market for a while.
I took a couple listings that I totally don't agree with the price on, and the sellers are completely adamant about let's try it at that. But I think that hurts the market, or hurts them selling it on the market, because that first few days is the new, and it's kind of popped up as a new listing. But you've got some sellers that are just adamant. They know what their property is worth, especially the old-fashioned ones. They think they know the market better than we do sometimes.
They do. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how quickly properties sell.
Yeah.
I think that's going to determine how good a year in real estate that we have in 2025 is. We're getting the listings, but are they going to be able to sell?
I know land lots are sitting a lot longer. I was looking at that a few minutes ago. Like, some of them are sitting, almost a whole year, some over a year.
And I just laugh because, when I started selling in 2012, you couldn't give land away in East Tennessee.
Which is what you specialized in there,
Yeah.
Get going there for a while.
Yeah, I started out at United Country. They're a rural kind of franchise, and so that's what I built my business on. And actually, when I came to work at Remax in September of 2016, I want to say I had 166 listings at that point. And probably 85% were lots, land. And I held some of those for years. I'm talking 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Wow.
Those people were listed with me. And we wouldn't see movement.
How aggravated did they get at that time?
I'm going to tell you something. A lot of them were okay with it because I gave them updates.
Right.
I built the business on expired listings because 9 times out of 10, if an agent lists a piece of land, the only time the seller hears from them is when it's time to renew the listing.
Right.
They never heard any kind of market update. They never knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And so when I started, that was one of the things I said, you know what? I'm going to update my sellers, whether it's every 30 days, every 45 days, but we're going to send them an email. We're going to update them. And then like twice a year, we would do like a market update for that subdivision.
Right.
Let them know this is what's sold, this is what's active on the market, this is what's under contract. And because I stayed in touch with them and gave them the information they needed, they were fine. I mean, you had a few that were just like, is this ever going to sell? And I'm like, it's going to take time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got 300 and something lots on the market right now, and only 30 are selling.
Yes.
Got a lot of inventory. And then when 2020 hit, that was when I sold the majority of that inventory. Because for whatever reason, everybody decided to buy a lot in East Tennessee.
Yeah, they want to invest in it. Now you see them starting to sell them now.
Oh, yeah. For sure. But yeah, it was kind of crazy when land did take off. So, but yeah, there's lots are not selling as quickly now. And I think that's because of the construction cost.
Yeah.
And the interest rates.
Yeah, because the interest rate's a lot higher for land.
It's not a lot higher, but it is significant. The biggest thing, I think, is the construction.
Yeah.
Because the cost of
per square
construction,
foot.
is ridiculous now.
I think that's why a lot of people are starting to buy homes that are already pre-built. And I mean, even buying a home that's built last year, you know, it still seems to be a little bit cheaper than going out and just building your home. So a lot of people are kind of leaning towards that, it seems like, more now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are trying to get in, not really a spec home, but like the Carlisle homes over there in Bridgewater, and then trying to customize, okay, this is what we would rather have, and, you know, because it's hard right now, A, to find a good quality builder.
Yes.
And B, one that can get to you within 2 years.
Yeah, I have a client that actually has one being built right now in Bridgewater, and Cindy's right at around $250 a square foot, which I was kind of shocked with those homes in that area.
Oh, I'm surprised it's that cheap.
That's what I'm saying. I'm really shocked that it was that cheap.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought much higher than that.
Yeah, I would have thought at least around 3.
Yeah. And like back before COVID, $250 a square foot, I mean, that was just like high end.
Yeah.
You
That
know
was the
what I'm
top
saying?
of the top.
That was Gus construction
Yeah.
pricing right
Yeah.
there was $250 a square foot. So yeah, and I think he's quoting like $400 now.
Well, I spoke to him the other day myself on a home, and he told me around 300 was what he was quoting right now is what he would estimate just an average home. So it wasn't too crazy, but that's not top end either. That's just your average home.
Yeah. And I think the thing about building a house, unless you've built one before, you're always going to run out of money.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like they call you and say, okay, so we're picking out cabinets now. This is what the base bill covers, you know, and then this is the upgrade. And you're like, oh, yeah, we want the upgrade.
Of course.
And so it's all those little upgrades that end up, and you're just like, yeah, that's a lot more money than I need to spend.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about it in little increments. So.
Yeah, it sounds good when you sit down and first talk about it until the big price tag comes on the end.
Yeah, until they come to the end, they're like, okay, you still owe me like $250,000.
Yeah, I'm curious is that house if because it's pretty high end. If it's really going to turn out the $250 a square foot in the end, we'll see. Stay posted on that one.
Yeah. So, so you feel like your 2024 went pretty good?
I do. I feel like it went pretty good.
Good.
I think I did a little better in 24 than 23, but not a huge difference, but at least some.
Yeah, I did not do as well this past year.
You're on a different side than I am. So you're on a seller side versus I'm on the buyer side the majority of the time. So
right. And it seems like I had a lot more higher end listings in 2024. And those are not selling quite as quickly.
Well, you specialize a lot in the lake stuff. So a lot of people, you know, vacation homes are a little bit harder to get to right now. They don't want to necessarily budget for that vacation home in this price market. And you can't really blame them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be curious with the fires that's happened out in California.
Yeah.
To see how that's going to impact our local market.
I got a funny feeling it's going to make us sell more.
I think it will. I don't think the celebrities that have lost a home
Well,
are going to move to East
no.
Tennessee. Although that would be really cool. I would
Yeah.
love to be the celebrity realtor. But
Is that a hint?
yeah, that's a hint. That's a throw out for everybody if you need a realtor in East Tennessee. But I do think we're going to see, because the cost to build there is going to be through the roof, even higher than it is here. And when you have that much devastation, there's going to be a backlog.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think you're going to see a lot of tradespeople going to California to work to help rebuild those homes.
I agree. But a lot of people tend to relocate from there to here. We've got somebody in our office that, has relocated to here, and she does really well here, actually. She still sells real estate there and here. So I'm kind of curious, maybe it might be somebody to bring in one day and do an interview with to kind of see how her market is doing eventually, in California.
And I don't know what part of California she covers, if any of it is affected by the fires or not. But I know, being from East Tennessee and having went through the floods that we went through in the last quarter of 2023 or 2024, it's a little upsetting, I think, to a lot of people in North Carolina and Tennessee to see all the publicity and all the attention and all the money that's already being thrown out there.
Yeah.
And we've got people in North Carolina sleeping in tents
in this weather, snow.
Yeah, because the government just has, and I don't get it, why the government has turned their back on them, and just the help is not being given to those people.
Yeah.
So
I was seeing where they was $750 is kind of what they got per person and stuff. And I mean, as you know, you can't.
$750 don't get you nothing. I mean, that might get you 3 nights at a hotel.
Yeah. That's if you're at a cheap one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know I've seen a lot of stuff being posted on social media just basically saying, what the crap?
Yeah.
How are they doing it for them and not doing it for these people? Yeah. And then I think I had seen where, the FEMA vouchers for those people who were staying in some kind of temporary housing was supposed to have ran out last weekend, and then we had that snowstorm. And so it was what are they supposed to do? Because FEMA was closed for the weekend. And Lee Brown, I don't know if you remember Lee, she's a realtor from the Concord, North Carolina area. Mm-hmm. She's been very active in Western North Carolina relief efforts and trying to help those people. Awesome. And she did a little IG reel basically giving out the senator for North Carolina's phone number.
Oh, wow.
And saying, call him and he's going to make sure that FEMA extends your voucher. You call him and he's going to take care of you. So I'm sure he had given her permission, to share that information. But without people like that getting on social media and sharing that information.
For them.
Exactly.
Yeah. They definitely need people to advocate for them because, they did take a tragic loss. So.
Yeah. I haven't been through there.
I have not either.
And I see videos. I saw a video this morning of somebody talking about Bat Cave. And I know I always laughed when we were going to the beach and we were like, you want to go to the Bat Cave?
Right.
Come on, Robin, let's go to the Bat Cave. Yeah. And the Bat Cave got destroyed, basically. So I think tragedies happen and then we just kind of move on from them and we don't think about the people who are still living with that each and every day. So
it's a sad situation. I'm kind of curious if they do backtrack and help the North Carolina people. And
I don't think they will.
I hope so. It's not looking promising. But
no, it's not. And I don't know what we can do. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why the government did what they did in one situation but does it for another.
Right.
But I did know, I watched this Instagram reel that's talking about that the fires in California were set on purpose.
I did see that.
It's like this whole conspiracy theory that if the evidence was destroyed, nobody could testify against P. Diddy and that whole sex trafficking ring. And I was like, sometimes you listen to that stuff and you're like, okay, well, that could be it. You know what I'm saying? But then you're like, I really don't want to be that person who's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, I've tried to. My husband's bad for that, and I've tried to ignore that and be like, you just never know. It could have just been wild random person. And
Kind of like the Gatlinburg fires.
yeah.
You know, teenagers being stupid, playing with fire. But, yeah. Makes you wonder.
It does make you wonder. I'm not going to say I've not thought.
And then they keep saying, you know, that the government allowed it to happen because they had cut the fire department funding by so many billions of dollars before this happened. And, you know, that the government wants to take all that land and build a smart city.
Oh, I've not seen all that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. And so I was kind of like,
Because it actually hit the Hollywood sign, too, correct?
I don't think it hit the Hollywood sign. I think that was like a Photoshop
Oh, okay.
image or something to get attention. But yeah, I don't think it hit the Hollywood sign.
Okay.
That would be like the Dollywood sign getting burned down.
Yeah, that's just tragedy.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I think it will be interesting to see how those fires end up playing out for our market. Will those people just get their insurance checks and move here? Because, I mean, for the amount of money that they had in the house there, it's a mansion here.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, if your average sales price is $3 million, I think we only have one home for $3 million in Hamlin County.
Yes.
So, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. That
Sure.
Lynette will be a good connection to have.
She will be. We will have to. We do need to sit in with her.
We
one
do
day
need
and
to get her on
definitely
here.
see how she's doing with it all because you know she sells it there too. So
Yeah, she sells a lot of land in California.
she sells more there than she actually does in Tennessee. She does really good there. Kind of neat to see her do it remotely. I sit in the office with her, so I hear her talking to them, and it's kind of interesting to hear how many times people will just kind of flop at somebody's land and they'll just turn it over and give it to the state or county or whoever, just because it cost us so much to get them out of there. She said that it's cost us them more to get them out of there that they just end up signing a deed over.
Get who out of there?
Like people that just flop on their land.
Oh, squatters.
Yeah.
Oh.
She says it's really, really common to have squatters there, and she actually had a listing, and somebody went to look at it, and there was like a whole bunch of marijuana plants and stuff, and come to find out it was a squatter. The seller was out of state and had no idea, so she said, oh, they're probably just going to sign it over because it will cost them more than the land was worth, because land there is just, a couple $1,000s pretty much, so it was interesting.
But that may change with the fire, too.
That may change.
So, yeah, it's interesting to see how all that stuff plays out.
Yeah.
In supply and demand. But I know we had quite a bit of influx from California for a while. And I think that's kind of calmed down some, so it may pick that back up.
Yes, I agree. Seems to be coming more from New York and Pennsylvania here lately, for me anyways. I don't know about everybody else, but
yeah, and Florida's always one of those states that, like, people from up north, they were tired of Florida.
yes.
And then they realize that their family is not going to go all the way from New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania to Florida to visit. So then they move to Tennessee because that's a halfway distance. Yeah, the hurricanes. So yeah, those people who move from the north to Florida and then back to Tennessee, we call those halfbackers.
Yeah.
Because they moved halfway back. And Florida's getting so expensive to live in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting market for sure. Kind of curious to see how it'll go in the next 6 months, especially with the interest rates and then all the tragedy. So
I know, and I tell you, people think that like Trump's going to take office and everything's automatically just going to change. That interest rates are going to come down.
I don't think they will.
Inflation's going to. It can't.
No.
I mean, that's just not the way the economy works. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so either.
And I don't know why, but they just think Trump's going to wave this magic wand and we're going to go back to the way it used to be. He can't do that. He can,
or we're going to really sink.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way that in the wave of a hand that he can make things happen. And he doesn't control the Fed.
No.
No matter how much he may not like it.
I know, right? He's definitely sure he doesn't like that.
He's a very controlling person, but, he doesn't have control over what they do. And the Fed really doesn't control mortgage interest rates. I mean, that's the purchase and sale of those treasury bonds. So I don't know what to tell people when they think that,
it's going to bottom out.
It's going to
I hear it all the time. I'm just going to wait until Trump gets in office. So I think after Trump gets in office, after a few months, I think we'll notice our market to come back up even more than it is now, I think, because they'll realize that, they're just going to have to either buy or sit where they're at.
Right. Yeah, you get tired of explaining to people that what happened in 2008 was a totally different situation than where we're at today.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about this before. The biggest thing that I hate about the market is how we're pricing first-time home buyers out.
Yeah.
You've got so many young people. It's like they've got their stuff together, they're working, and it's just like nearly impossible for them to be able to get a home right now because of the average sales price being over $300,000. I couldn't imagine being a first-time home buyer and trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
I paid $70,000 for the first house I ever bought.
I have a first-time home buyer, and I've took her to see several houses, and she's just kind of like in shell shock, like, I just don't want to look right now. And I kind of understand her. I mean, it is a shell shock, huge shell shock, because they think in their mind that they're getting like mommy and daddy's house, and they're not thinking that house that they once bought for $60,000-$70,000 is worth several hundred now. So in their mind, they go look at this $150,000 house that they can afford, and it's not what they thought at all.
It's not, but I mean, my $70,000 house, it wasn't a brand new construction. It wasn't totally remodeled. You know what I'm saying? I think that some of these first-time home buyers that are younger just need to understand mom and daddy didn't get to that point with their first purchase.
Right.
It took years for them to get where they're at. And you've got to buy a house and put that equity into it. Redo the flooring, paint the walls, do some of that stuff, make that house what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And then you'll be the one sitting pretty in 10, 15, 20 years.
So in 2010, I bought my first house for $95,000, and we had it looked at. We were in the middle of construction when they looked at it, and it's priced at almost $400,000. That's a huge difference. And we've since then just now got done updating, a lot of it, still doing some updates, but big difference from 2010 till now for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I tell this story. My mom and dad bought the house that they're living in now in 1970 when they were pregnant with me. They paid $18,000 for that house.
Unbelievable.
And it's like...
Which was big money probably back then.
Well, I mean, both of them worked, but it was a 1,150 square foot brick house with a basement.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a garage. It has a carport. They fenced in the yard. The first thing they did was added on to the house to add a second bathroom because it was a 3-bed, 1-bath.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was the first thing they did. And I mean, now their neighborhood is an older neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Obviously, all the houses were built late 60s, early 70s. And so they're in that period where that neighborhood needs to be revitalized. You know what I'm saying? And once it gets revitalized, those homes will sell for more. But right now, their home's probably $175,000.
Which is still a big market increase.
Yeah. I mean, they've well paid for that house many times over. And their interest rate, I think, when they bought was like 14%. But the house was $18,000. But income was a lot less back then, too.
Isn't it interesting to hear that, when we sit and say interest rates are high, they're probably looking at us like we are completely idiots.
Well, I think that is a problem, like with your older, what they call the boomer generation, is they don't understand why these young people can't buy a house. You're complaining about 7% interest rates, and we bought a house the first time, and our interest rate was twice that.
Yeah.
But your house was a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
It doesn't even out. The increase in income does not help with the increase in the home price. Right. So, yeah. It's a different world now.
Total different world.
Total. Yeah. So, all right. Well, what you got going on exciting this week?
Nothing much, really. Got a couple under contract this weekend, so catching up on some paperwork, and got a few buyers, first-time home buyers, so I've got one that I'm chasing tail on. We've looked at probably 20 homes, and we just can't seem to get them.
You mean you don't show them 3 houses and tell them they have to pick
No, that's what today's market thinks, yes. For sure. I think this past weekend, I hit house number 18 showing them. So, yeah, it's been chasing tails and just can't seem to find the one that they want, but we'll keep grinding and get it.
There you go. That's the attitude. Yeah. Well, I was out most of last week. The flu bug hit our house and we were all down. Even Venus, even the babysitter. I mean, we've all been through the ringer. So I had very little that I got accomplished last week. So I've got to play catch up this week. And
so don't come in your office because it's just going to be crazy.
Probably, yeah. Probably going to be crazy for this week anyway. But yeah, that's my game plan for the week. It's just trying to get caught up, reach out to some people, and apologize for not following up with them sooner, you know what I'm saying? Because I had went out and looked at a farm in Washburn, I want to say Tuesday of last week. Yeah, that's about as far as I got with it.
I understand that.
So, and most people are pretty understanding when you're like, hey, I've got the flu, everybody in my house had the flu. They're like, oh, yeah, take your time. And really, if you've not been sick this winter, you don't want to catch this because it lingers and it's highly contagious. But even now, I mean, I'm 7 or 8 days into it, and I get exhausted so easy.
Oh, really?
And that stinks because I don't have time to be exhausted. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think people realize just how busy that you really are, though. So when you say that, it's kind of like, that's everybody, but no. Whole different world sometimes.
Well, and luckily, Venus is sleeping a lot right now, which allows me to be able to take that break and get my rest as well. Because if she was full steam ahead, I would be screwed right now.
So at least you guys all kind of got it in one whack and getting it over with versus...
And getting it over with, yeah. So we were so glad to get out of the house yesterday and enjoy that sunshine. That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just nice to get out of the house and be like, okay, we're alive again.
Yeah.
Because we weren't sure we'd make it. And I told Amber, looking at Venus, and even looking at myself, like we've all lost weight this past week because none of us felt like eating. Nothing tasted good. I put on my pants this morning and I was like, oh, wow.
Heck yeah.
I've lost
flu
some weight.
wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah, and poor little Venus can't afford to lose weight, but
no, she can't.
I've been feeding her milkshakes, trying to get some fat on her, so.
You spoil her anyways.
Well, that's what she's there for.
It is.
Get her spoiled. She lost her first tooth.
Did the tooth fairy come?
Tooth fairy came.
You know what they say about that?
No, what?
Well, we lie to them all their life, and then they find out later. So.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I did tell her, I'm like, the tooth fairy will give you more on this one because it's your first. But don't expect him to leave that much, from here on out. Because I know people who just go overboard with some of this stuff.
I do $20.
Are you kidding me?
I've always done 20 with all my kids.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
you can tell generation difference here because I'm old school. I'm like, you got $3 for that first tooth, you're going to get $1 for everyone after that. $20 a tooth.
But how many times do you take them to the store and be like, okay, you can spend it, and then what they pick out is a lot more, do you end up buying it? Or are you really strict on the amount?
I don't take her to the store.
Smart woman.
I learned that lesson long ago. Like on Saturdays, I work from like 8 to 2 on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have changed my routine on Saturdays that I will go to the grocery store between 12:30 and 1 so I can get my shopping done and get home before the babysitter leaves. Because I spend so much less money if I can go by myself.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my list. I know what I need. You take Venus to the grocery store, and it's a meltdown.
It is in my house, too.
If she doesn't get some kind of candy and some kind of toy, and she don't need none of that.
Yeah, it's a meltdown in my house. My
So
husband has
I
a hard
just
time understanding. He's like, the whole family just needs to go. No, they don't.
No.
I'll grocery shop alone.
Yes.
I spend like $200 less.
I couldn't tell you the last time I physically walked into a Walmart. Couldn't tell you the last time. because I use that Walmart delivery, which I know you're in Rutledge, so you really can't do
I
that.
did pick up.
But that's the greatest thing in the whole world.
It
I
is.
gladly pay my $99 a year fee to have free delivery all year.
Oh yeah.
There's been weekends that I've placed an order, and then I'm like, crap, I forgot this. You know what I'm saying? Well, you have to have a $35 delivery for it to be free. So then I'm buying like 3 other things just to get my $35.
Later.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't go to Walmart. We don't do that. I took her to Five Below one time, and I can't remember what we did that for. That was the worst experience because she has sensory overload anyway. Mm-hmm. And you take that kid into a toy store.
Oh yeah.
She is like a rat on crack. I mean, she has to touch everything in the store, pick it up, look at it. And she's really good about making choices as far as she's not going to commit to this one until she makes sure she's seen everything else. And then she'll say, okay, yeah, that's what I want. Or she'll put it back because she found something better. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we got for her.
But she has a hard time when you present her with an aisle full of toys to make a decision. Yeah. It's hard on her. So I just don't take her. And people may say I'm wrong for that, but
I can't blame you. It is
what it is, you know.
I argue with my house. I'm like, I'm going to the grocery store and I'm going alone.
Yeah, I just plan my days so that I can go to the grocery store, get what I need, and come home. Yes. And Amber knows, like, if you need something from the grocery store, you better text me before noon on Saturday. Because otherwise you ain't getting it.
I wish I had like one certain day I just had it all like done like that, but it never works out like that. I'm like, oh, I forgot something. Of course, I live in Rutledge, so we're super rural.
Well, yeah, but you're in and out of town all the time, so it's easier for you to pop in.
Plus, I have a son that works at Walmart, so I'm always like texting, bring this home to me.
Yeah, and I'm sure he makes you reimburse him, doesn't he?
No, I've actually just let him keep a credit card of mine. He only uses it for what I text him for, so it works out great because I'm always like, please bring this home, and it's just about every night he works, honestly. I'm like...
Well, that's awesome that he's that responsible with it.
Oh, yeah. I actually have really good, responsible teenagers, believe it or not. They've made some choices, but I've got one.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, I've got one that's got a baby on the way, and he's fixing to turn 18, but... you know, it's still a blessing at the end of the day. But
yeah,
other than that, they're pretty responsible. He's held down a job for ever since he's turned 16, actually 15. So
that's good. I know I saw one thing that you posted on Facebook, and I so wish my parents had done this. Is you said, take your kids out, let them drive in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
Give them that experience. You know, get them out to a parking lot. Let them feel how it feels to drive in the snow and the ice.
So I took my 15-year-old and let him drive, like I said, live in Rutledge, drove all the way to Rogersville. We had to do a bond. I made him drive there and back. Then we went into parking lots, and yeah, we might have played a little, but...
But that's part of it,
well,
you know?
they learned the sliding part and stopping. But most people, you know, the cops and stuff, if there was a cop sitting in the parking lot, we went to the high school and got in the parking lot, and they just sit there and laughed at us. Then you've got some in parking lots that are, you know, oh my God, I can't believe you let your 15-year-old drive. You know, it's what we got insurance for, and I would rather him wreck with me and me trying to coach him and learn it than to him to get out there and try to do it on his own when he's got a job at 16 or whatever, trying to drive it. So.
Well, and my parents never, like we were, and it goes to the fact that my dad spoiled my mom. If it snowed, my dad would get up and take my mom to work.
Well, my dad even took me to work. Like, it was against the rules for me to drive myself.
And so, yeah, when I got a job, you know, if it had snowed or something, my daddy would take me to work and come get me, whatever. We never got the experience of driving in the snow. And I was scared of snow. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. If it snowed, I wasn't even trying to get out. Because I had no experience driving in it until I got into real estate.
Yeah, no choice.
Well, I did, because even at the beginning, I drove a Honda Civic, and I would be like, yeah, I can't get out in that, based on some of the places that I would have been driving. And so there were times that it snowed, and I had to, like, you know, it wasn't like this past weekend, you know, the flurries or whatever that we'd get, and I would try to get home. But probably Christmas of 2020, when it come the big snow,
yeah.
was the most driving I have ever done. And I laughed and said I was the snow Uber for Christmas because I was taking my brother and his wife back and forth to their house and took my sister, and I was the person that was getting out because I had the 4-wheel drive Pilot. I didn't know how to drive. I mean, I'd never put it in 4-wheel drive. I had no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
But I was just slow and steady, and if I wrecked, then at least my family was with me.
So I have a Toyota Tacoma, and it is 4-wheel drive, but I actually had my son to drive in 2-wheel drive because I did want him to experience a little bit of the sliding. But I've got mud tires kind of on my truck, so it really doesn't slide much, even in 2-wheel drive. So we have a big hill at our bonding company, and he got to spin trying to get up it and try to get the good to go. Because I'm like, you may not always have a 4-wheel drive. You need to learn this. So he absolutely hated it, just to be honest. He was like, it's so boring. You got to drive slow, and yeah, life's not always fast paced.
No, but at least you know how to do it, and you're alive, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, even my driveway, I mean, it's not like a super steep driveway, but my house sits up on a hill. And so this new Pilot that I bought has a button that says snow. I'm like, okay.
What's that?
Yeah. So yesterday when I go to back out of my driveway, I'm like, well, we'll just try this. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it just it's almost like a 4-wheel drive kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so got down the driveway just fine, no problems. Came back up the driveway just fine. Well, then we went back out before it got dark to pick up some supper. And that time, I was spinning, trying to get back up the driveway. And I'm like, okay. So I told them, I'm like, just hang on. And I backed it up and got a little bit of speed so I could hit that hill good. And we got up there. They said, finally, Mama, finally. So, but yeah, I'm not a fan of snow. I don't like driving in it, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Seems like we're getting bigger snows.
We
every
are
year.
here lately, especially.
Yeah.
But I was definitely shocked at all the buyers that I had in the snow, and just from that post alone, that was what was funny. I would have not have thought that in a million years, but I was okay with it. It totally kept me from sitting at home and just not getting nothing done. I felt proactive. So.
Well, and I think there was so much I could have gotten done at home this weekend. I need to reset up my transaction desk because we got new forms.
I just done that.
You know what I'm saying? And there was just a lot of little things, working on my newsletter that I want to start sending out. And I just didn't feel like it. If Venus was sleeping,
sick, so.
I was sleeping. So I just really feel like I'm behind based on where I wanted to be at this point of the new year already. But
sometimes we need that downtime.
we do. And sometimes God will give it to us whether we want it or not.
That's true.
So I just kind of enjoyed it and went on. I'd text my mom and daddy and be like, y'all good? You need anything? Because they've not left their house in over a week.
Oh, wow.
When all that cold weather hit, they were like, yeah, we're not getting out in the cold. We're staying in. And I was like, okay. So when we got out yesterday, I told Amber, I said, text your mama, I'll see if she needs anything. And they wanted something from Wendy's to eat. And I'm like, yeah, they're just glad to be able to have some different kind of food,
I was shocked at all the DUI bonds that I had to do for you would not believe, like New Year's, everybody thinks New Year's, 4th of July, everybody's getting drunk and going to jail, No.
Let it
get out
snow.
in the snow. We had 6 DUI bonds that we did that night. Yeah, I don't know if they were just getting drunk and getting out in the snow. It just seemed to be what they were all telling me, like, oh, I just need to get something from the store. But you got your alcoholics that wanted to go out to the beer store and slide over in a ditch.
Yeah, because let me tell you, DoorDash and Walmart delivery, they don't work during the snow.
No.
They just shut down completely. Because I went on to Walmart because I wanted some Lysol. I'm like, I can at least start disinfecting this house.
Yeah.
And it was shut off until Monday.
Yeah.
You could not do anything. Couldn't do a pickup order, couldn't do a delivery order.
Well, they had like 90-some people call in Hamlin County.
Oh, I'm sure. And I mean, we have huge factories on the east and the west end. They don't close.
No.
I think one of them closed at 5:00 Friday, and I know a girl that works there, and she was just like, I have never in 25 years known them to close early for snow. But even Hamlin County or the Morristown Police Department, we're talking about, clearing the roads and doing this. They clear those areas first because they know those factories don't close for nobody.
Right.
And people have to get to work. And I was thinking this morning on my way in, I was like, I am so glad that I have never had to work at a place like that where it didn't matter if it snowed. You were expected to be there.
Yeah.
So, and I think about the hospitals with all the disease going around, and that was the last place that I would want to be right now.
Yeah.
Would be sitting in that hospital room.
Yeah, we had to take Journey to urgent care yesterday, and Casey was kind of like, well, we'll all just go. And I was like, no, everybody doesn't need to go.
No, and I mean, even now, like I go to Fast Pace, and they will allow you to just sit in your car, and they'll call you when it's your turn. Because if you're sick, you don't need to be infecting everybody else.
Yeah, I think my house had just set in for the snow, and I had been out, and they were just like ready to get out no matter what the outing was. And I was like, no.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for today. And hopefully when we come back in a couple of weeks, we'll have the full crew with us.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
Thank y'all.